Hello, everyone. Welcome to the High Post Podcast, Episode 7. We're your two brown guys that talk sports. I'm Sahil.
My name is Arman.
And so the playoffs have started, bro. All that regular season fuss is out the door. So we'll get into the matchups and predict everything for you guys. And so, first off, we'll start off with the Eastern Conference. And we'll start off with arguably the most competitive series, the Bucks and the Pistons. So, what do you think about that one?
I think the biggest thing with this matchup is the health of Blake Griffin. He has a sore knee. They say he's day to day. If Blake is not there, man, they're gonna lose by at least an average of, I would say, 20. With Blake, I mean, at least they'll be swept, but it'll be a respectable 15 every game. No, but in all honesty, I mean, this matchup should be a wash for Milwaukee. They should take care of business. It should be a sweep. Now, obviously, there's that one game that the Pistons could steal. That's fine. The gentleman's sweep, whatever they call it. But Milwaukee shouldn't be going to 6 or 7 with these guys at all.
Yeah, definitely not. And I think this is the most lopsided matchup in the playoffs right now in the first round. This is not even close. There is no way. This is the least amount of upset chance you can give it, like 0.000000001 or even 0%. I'm just gonna say 0% because there's no way Milwaukee's gonna lose to a team that's barely got into the playoffs, 41 wins, a team that just clinched on the last day, and Blake Griffin's kind of banged up, and that doesn't even matter. Just Milwaukee's so much better. Giannis has something to play for. A lot of people are saying he's the best player in the world, so I think he's going to show it in the playoffs that he can't compete for that crown.
Yeah, and then we know the other thing is Milwaukee is dealing a little bit of injuries of their own, and Malcolm Brogdon, who most likely won't be playing this first round. It shouldn't be a factor. I mean, they still have Eric Bledsoe, you still have Giannis, you still have Chris Middleton. Nikola Mirotic should be coming back. So they just have too much on that team that Detroit can't match up with. We've seen Detroit previous years. This feels like the same Detroit roster that's been in the playoffs, and an addition of Blake Griffin hasn't really helped them shown in regular season. So I don't know how much it'll do in the playoffs as well. Blake might do his thing, get his 30, but it's not going to translate into too many wins for them this playoff series.
So I'm kind of interested in this thing in this aspect, but a lot of people have been saying Blake Griffin. I honestly think he could be the third best player in the East, because the season he's having has been amazing. He's probably going to make an All NBA team. He stayed healthy for 75 games this year. He played a lot of games. He usually misses because of injury. So do you think he's the third best player in the East, or where would you put him?
Putting him at third best means you have him over. Obviously, Giannis is number one.
Yes.
Embiid, in my opinion, is better, but then he's not better than Kawhi Leonard, in my opinion.
Oh, okay, fourth. I forgot. Yeah. I forgot.
I don't know. Do you put him higher than Kyrie, even though Blake's been
having amazing?
So yeah.
I literally just the log on that one. Yeah, fifth. Okay, no more than no.
I mean, this is off the top of my head that I just named those guys. I'd have to go.
I just went off the top of my head because the season he's having, but the season he's having is probably third though. But in terms of player wise, yeah, he's probably fifth.
I could see him around there. I mean, yeah.
Unless we're forgetting somebody, but
no, outside of the East, I mean, I don't think there is. As far as I'm thinking about it, there shouldn't be. Jimmy Butler is there, Ben Simmons. Those guys are great, but I would put Blake over them.
Yeah.
That's about it. Kyle Lowry is not much.
Yeah, I put Blake over guys like Jimmy Butler and stuff. But yeah, he's probably fifth or something. All right. So that matchup. So we'll just do our game prediction right now. So I say Bucks sweep. What do you say?
Same here. I give the 4-0 to the Milwaukee Bucks.
Right. So get down the booms. So I feel like we should record. We should take down our predictions right now. What we're predicting. What we predict for each matchup. Let's see. So you got a sweep.
I got a sweep.
All right, and I got a sweep. So we can say. So you guys can see our predictions and stuff and be like, okay, what'd they do right? What'd they do wrong? Okay. All right, let's get into the next matchup. Okay, so the Raptors are playing the Magic, and another competitive series.
Toronto should sweep. However, Orlando's been a solid team throughout the year. They are a little banged up as well, but they're, you could say, somewhat of a deep roster. They don't have one true star. Nikola Vucevic is the best player on the team. He's been having an amazing season. He was an all-star. Toronto, once again, should take care of business. The only thing about my however was Kyle Lowry, in my opinion, is a big factor in how fast this series wraps up.
He's a choker as of right now.
If he is like Lowry of recent memory, where he turns the switch off in the playoffs, then Orlando could steal a game that they shouldn't, and just prolong this series more than it should be. However, if he can just play decent, he doesn't have to play regular season Kyle Lowry or All-Star level. He just has to play decent, and they should be able to take care of this matchup at least. But yeah, I say sweep. I say, actually, you know what? I think Orlando takes one game. I think it's 4-1. Reason I say that is I think Kyle Lowry is going to mess up here or there somewhere. And Orlando is a solid enough team to capitalize upon that and steal a game. But the rest of the games, I mean, they'll probably win a game by a few points, but the games they lose will be by an average margin of 10.
Yeah. Like I said, I could see like Toronto losing a game, but I think the Magic will win a game. Yeah, I have the same 4-1. But I still think like the Magic, this is something they're better than Detroit. So I feel like they could like this could be one of those series like where we don't think it's gonna be competitive, but this could be that one if you know what I mean. Like there's always that one series that like everybody's gonna predict wrong and like it goes completely the other way. And I feel like it could be this series, but then like I said, no way. I think the Raptors are gonna take this series easily, 4-1. And
Same.
you got 4-1 Raptors? Okay. 4-1 Raptors. All right. So now we get into a little bit of the interesting series in the East with the Nets taking on the Sixers. So for me, I think the Sixers take this series in 6.
Okay.
And I think this series is going to be very good. Like, just because Embiid is a little banged up, and I feel like Brooklyn is the team that's playing with house money, and they have D'Angelo Russell, who I feel like is one of the most, like, players that can get motivated easily. Like, just a little bit of, like, criticism and things can make him really motivated. And I feel like the way he's playing this year, I feel like Brooklyn can take a game or two, or maybe even 3 again in this series because they're so well coached by Kenny Atkinson, and they have a good team. I feel like with Spencer Dinwiddie, Jarrett Allen, like all these guys are good, solid players in the NBA that I feel like nobody talks about.
Yeah, no, I see where you're getting at. My thing with this is I have Philly winning.
Yes.
The amount of games, it depends on Embiid's health. If Embiid is back and he's playing from game 1, I have Sixers actually in 5. Just because they're 1 through 5 that they can put out on the court. I've mentioned on previous podcast episodes before. They can put out a lineup with Ben Simmons. They can have Tobias Harris, Jimmy Butler, Joel Embiid, and they could have JJ Redick. 5 guys on the court at the same time. Everyone who knows their role. Jimmy Butler is obviously really competitive. He's in the playoffs. Joel Embiid is one of the top 3 best players in the East. Best center in the NBA. So, and then obviously Brooklyn they have great players on the team as well. They have a good bench. They have a good guard duo within Russell and Dinwiddie, but they are inexperienced. And I mean, you don't want to use that phrase or that term on every team, the inexperienced, because obviously things do happen in the NBA. However, if Embiid is there from game 1 and he's healthy, locked in, I think Sixers take it in 5, but it won't be a clean breezed by 5. It'll be a game where Jimmy Butler had to hit a game winner in one game for them to take it, or Brooklyn couldn't capitalize on a bad play at the end of the game to where Philly wins in 5. But I could see it going 6. But I would say, if I had to put it down prediction-wise, I would say 4-1 Philly over Brooklyn.
Yeah, I said 4-2, and I could see where you're coming from. Like, just because Philly's team, like, you could argue, like, on paper, that's, like, the best team in the East. Like, you got a lineup of Simmons, Redick, Harris, Butler, Embiid. Like, that's a team that's fully capable of winning the East. But like I said, like, we'll talk about that in, like, another episode once we get to those future episodes of, like, East Finals and see if they're even there. But I feel like with the Sixers, the only chance of them that could be, like, potentially an upset is the lack of experience. Because last year we've seen it. They lost to a Celtics team that I feel like is kind of similar. Like how last year, like, they didn't have Hayward or Kyrie. This Nets team is just a bunch of young players, savvy players that I feel like the Sixers could have trouble against. But then, yeah, ultimately, I think the Sixers are going to win this series 4-2.
Yeah, the same thing going on that is I feel like the Sixers have experienced that loss like they did to Boston last year where the team didn't have a clear number 1. Obviously, their best player, you could say, was Jason Tatum, but they were just a cohesive unit that beat the Sixers. I feel like Philly, having experienced that, know what they're going up against with Brooklyn. And obviously, Ben Simmons, his evolution, obviously, he still hasn't gotten the jump shot yet, but he still finding ways to put up around almost near 20 points. He's physical. He's dominant down low. You know you're going to get the rebounds with him. You know he's going to pass the ball, be the facilitator. I feel like they've kind of seen the blueprint that the Brooklyn Nets are going to be working with to try to take them down. Therefore, that's why they should prevail in the series.
Yeah, I think the Sixers are going to win. And people, I feel like, going on that Ben Simmons point, I feel like people don't appreciate Ben Simmons' game enough just because they see, like, a Twitter video or something of him shooting and, like, that dunk contest, everybody going crazy if he makes a shot. But, like, yeah, I just think the Sixers' talent, they're going to go past Brooklyn, I think. All right, so 4-2 for me, 4-1 for you, Sixers. Okay, so the next series we got, this is probably going to be very tasty, I think. The Celtics and the Pacers. So Celtics are my pick to go to the finals, I believe. But I still think this series is going to be very challenging for the Celtics. Because without Marcus Smart, you're losing your best defender on ball. And that's the guy you'd probably stick on like a Bogdan or something. And he can go crazy in the playoffs, as we've seen.
Oh, for some reason, I have this weird feeling that Bohan might be going through like that Hito Turkoglu stretch back in 09. Obviously they were not going to go as far. I do have Boston winning, but I feel like Bohan has this, I don't know, there's something about him just like where he can will them to win a few games in this series.
Yeah, not even the fact that they're both European, but they both shoot the ball good, and Bogdan looks like he can do something like special. And I feel like that's why Boston could struggle in the series, just because like they're missing the main guy on the defensive end, and they're basically, I like to call him like the perimeter version of Draymond Green for the Celtics. But going on the prediction, I still think the firepower, whether it be Kyrie Irving in the playoffs, like I've said many times, I think being trained by LeBron James and like learning under his tutelage, I feel like Kyrie Irving is a different beast in the playoffs, and I feel like he's going to do something very special in these playoffs. So I think ultimately the Celtics win this series in 6.
Yeah, no, I agree. I choose Boston in 6 as well. Thing is, man, this series could have been something super special had Oladipo been healthy. If Oladipo was healthy, I do think Pacers would be a little bit higher of a seed, maybe, because they're a great team with him. But yeah, no, Boston in 6, in my opinion. It'll be a very good series to watch. I feel like there'll be a few games where it's really close, and just because Boston has the best player on the court in Kyrie Irving, will have them give them that edge to win those games. And I think this would be good for Boston as well to be tested really hard outside going in the first round. Like Milwaukee should breeze by, Toronto should breeze by, but their next matchup would be against Milwaukee. And if they're already battle tested a bit against the Pacers, which is one of the top teams in the East, it'll help them out going in the long run in these playoffs. I do still think that they don't make the finals. My pick was obviously Toronto, but just going back to the series here, I have 4-2 Boston winning.
So yeah, I think like you make good points about like the Celtics being battle tested, and like this series, the Pacers are definitely very hard to beat at home. Like it is very hard to beat them over there, and I feel like this series for the Celtics and like this whole playoffs is so big for them, just whether it be in terms of incoming free agencies for those guys. And obviously, we've heard a lot about Kyrie's free agency and things of that nature. So I feel like Kyrie's going to be extra motivated, which can uplift and carry the Celtics a little bit. And I feel like there was that whole narrative going on last year, like, oh, the Celtics are better without Kyrie. The numbers show, oh, they're like 15-2 or something. So I feel like he has that sort of chip on his shoulder as well. And I think Brad Stevens is going to draw up great game plans that'll get them. I think he's the best coach in the league, so I think that'll help against pretty much anybody. So yeah, I think the Celtics will win the series 4-2. And you say 4-2 as well, right?
4-2, yep.
All right. Now switching over to the most competitive, the more competitive conference, the Western Conference. So this first matchup again, oh my goodness, the Warriors and the Clippers. I got the Clippers sweeping, obviously. Like the Clippers are so good. Like how are the Warriors gonna beat them? The Clippers have Pat Beverly, like the best player in the league. How are they gonna do it?
Yeah, no.
On a serious note.
Serious note, Warriors 4-0. They say Curry's banged up. Curry could miss the first whole round, and they'll still sweep the Clippers. Obviously, he's not. He might miss a game, if that. Most likely he'll play. They should win 4-0. There might be a game where the Clippers, in at home, give the Warriors a little bit of a fight. but I still feel the Warriors pulled through. They breezed by, and they're just waiting on the next round. They're waiting for the next round, in my opinion.
Yeah, there's like, oh, there's kind of like, oh, okay, these are the Clippers. Like, oh, this is nothing. I still feel the Clippers can win one game. I feel like, because I think the Clippers are well coached by Doc Rivers. I feel like they're gonna win a game because they know the history, like how the Warriors always smack down on the Clippers. Like we've seen that every year, they're just smacking the Clippers, whether it be sweeping them in the regular season or whatnot. I feel like the Clippers will get a game, but I feel like the Warriors still they gotta like get into that this dominant mentality. It takes them time to like after you coast for basically a whole season, regular season, it takes like there's like a game or two where it's kind of surprising for them that kind of wake them up and be like, oh, this is gonna be the game that like game one. I think game one could be the game that Clippers take, and I just think Warriors win like four straight after that and beat them 4-1. That's why I feel is weird. Like I think game one is the toughest thing for the Warriors, but after that they sort of get locked in and just be like, oh, we got 5 All-Stars, we got all the Infinity Stones, we're just gonna beat everybody. So yeah, I feel like this series is gonna be no different. I got the Warriors winning, yeah, 4-1, easy. All
Yeah.
right. So the next matchup, we got this is to me the most competitive series of the first round. The Denver Nuggets taking on the San Antonio Spurs, and I feel like there's gonna be some disagreements in this series. Go ahead and make your point.
Okay, so this is where I think we get our first upset
Ooh.
in the NBA playoffs. And reason why I say that is because I have where my prediction is going to be San Antonio wins in 7 games over the Denver Nuggets. Uh, better, obviously, they both teams have great coaches, Mike Malone, but then one team has Greg Popovich. And when you get down, obviously, when you go on the court, the coaches aren't really playing. You still need to have the players. San Antonio has LaMarcus Aldridge, who's been in the playoffs. They have DeMar DeRozan, who's been in the playoffs and has been playing really good unless there's a LeBron. Then we know what happens to DeMar. But there's no LeBron at all in this entire playoff. So that should give DeRozan a lot more confidence to go into each matchup, each game. All joking aside, though, I even though San Antonio isn't a full healthy roster, I think they lost one of their point guards way early on in the season, but they've rallied their squad. They've gotten the guys. Derek White is one amazing defensive player that somehow Pop just keeps finding ways to get these guys, these misfit guys, using them for him and just making them shine and excel. Denver, obviously, they have a great team. Jokic is probably going to might be the best player on the court as far as an overall all-around guy. I do think he's better than LaMarcus Aldridge and DeMar DeRozan. But then the inexperience is there with Jamal Murray. Jokic hasn't played well or in the playoffs before, and neither has the rest of the team. They are a deep team. They do play fast-paced, and they can play in a half-court offense as well. I just see San Antonio dictating the pace more, slowing it down a lot. I see them running the game through a lot, through LaMarcus Aldridge through the post. DeRozan can work down low. I see them gritting and grinding it out a little bit more than Denver is capable of doing, to where they'll pull a few games and they'll eventually win the series, in my opinion, San Antonio. So I have San Antonio in 7, and it is going to be the most fascinating and entertaining series in the first round of all the playoff matches.
Yeah, you make some excellent points, dude. I'm not gonna lie. You make some very good points about how the Spurs could win the series, Denver's lack of experience and whatnot, Greg Popovich, and sort of how like the Spurs are kind of like the Patriots, right? They just take a bunch of no name players and make them something in the organization. Whether it be guys like Derek White. Like I guarantee you if Derek White was playing on another team, like he wouldn't be this good, I feel
He
like.
wouldn't see the court, maybe.
Yeah, probably not. Like Pop was like giving him the chance like under him to like he can grow. But I'm taking the Denver Nuggets to win the series, and I'll tell you why. I think that the Nuggets, obviously with the lack of experience, I think they're very inexperienced, and I think they'll most likely lose in the next round. But I think in this series, I don't think San Antonio is that good compared to the Spurs teams of the years past. Like this team is just sort of like, oh, they're just like throw it down to LaMarcus Aldridge, throw it down, which is a good option. I'm not saying it's not, but like I feel like you can't just play that way. Like especially against these high-powered teams like Denver, who can just go crazy from 3-point shooting like any day. And I feel like Mike Malone is a great coach, deserves to be in the coach of the year conversation. And I feel like Denver, they don't. I know they don't have a true star, like you said. Like LaMarcus Aldridge to me is like a star. I don't really consider Nikola Jokic a star yet, but I feel like he's getting there. He's a great player. But I feel like with the team, I feel like Denver has like the best team around, like in terms of bench players, starters, and everything. And I feel like Denver's gonna win the series just based on their firepower and the Spurs getting a little older and like the teams haven't been good, like when Kawhi and Timmy D were there and stuff. So I feel like the Nuggets are going to win this series in six, but they can't let it go to seven. I agree with that. If the Nuggets let the series go to seven, I think the Spurs are going to win.
Yeah, I feel like Denver will be up in the series, and the turning point will be San Antonio winning in six, taking it to seven, and then ultimately winning in seven in game seven. So that's what I have 4-3 Spurs over Denver. But yeah, going back, like you're saying, dumping it down low to LaMarcus isn't very viable all the time. Uh, and another thing is the team may not look as great, but one thing is, and I've seen from the Spurs, they'll roll into the playoffs, and you will always look at them all. They're old now. They're this now. The team is actually not one of the older teams, and they're the team. The bench is a little bit younger. They got a lot of athletic guys. Obviously, we said that they have LaMarcus. They have DeMar. Rudy Gay is not one of the top players in the league, but he's a very great starter, and he can give you certain games where he can go off and get rebounds. He does whatever he needs to for the team. So that's where I have San Antonio, just because even though Denver's depth is there and player wise, I still feel like the Spurs might not be as deep of a team, but they have more experience, more veterans on the team. Just logging NBA minutes, been in the league longer. They know how to play the game better. They'll know how to take certain advantage of certain turnovers and things like that into the series. But yeah, so you have Denver in six, and I have San Antonio in seven.
Yeah, like I said, this is a coin flip, dude. Like honestly, you could flip a coin; it could be a different outcome each time. That's why I feel like that this series, it's like so tough. Like both these teams are like you can make you can make this point, like how I was saying, and the Spurs, you have an excellent point as well. How they're such like a good experienced team, and they're the Spurs, you can never discount the Spurs. But yeah, so 4-2 Nuggets for me, 4-3 Spurs for you. This should be a great series. And the next, and I think the second best series, the Trailblazers taking on the Thunder. And to me, I think this is Thunder winning, and I don't even think that's an upset to me.
Yeah, that's what I was going to get to too as well. Like seeding wise, it looks like it's an upset, but I feel like the Thunder have always been the better team of the two, especially now that Yusuf Nurkic is out. That really hurts Portland.
Yeah.
McCollum is just coming back off of an injury. Now, whether it's not that severe or not, he has been playing pretty well. You want everyone at full strength when you're going up against a team this has a dog in Russell Westbrook and Paul George. Those two guys have been playing insanely on the defensive end. You have Steven Adams, Aquaman. I mean, how can you top that?
Jason Momoa, yeah, he's a beast, dude. He's acting and rebounding and doing all the dirty work on the court. Like, what else do you want?
What else can you ask for?
So yeah, like OKC, I feel like is a way better team than Denver. Like, I mean, not Denver, Portland, because I feel like if you put them all like, and they're better than Denver too, by the way.
Yeah, they are.
I think that's it. So, yeah, Paul George is playing great, and after the shit show that Paul George and Westbrook had last year against Utah, I feel like they're out to prove something this year. That like, oh, we're not just regular season players. We have a chance to be great in the playoffs as well. So I feel like OKC is going to win this series, and I think this prediction might shock you. I think OKC is going to win in 5.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it shouldn't be too shocking, right? When Portland last year shit the bed as well when they played against the Pelicans.
Oh yeah.
I actually have OKC in 6, just because I give Damian Lillard a game winner, and I give one game to where Russell Westbrook and playoff P just mess up a little bit or just don't have a great night to where Portland will capitalize. But in all, it'll be 6 games, in my opinion. Thunder's winning 6, but it'll be, you can tell that they were in more control the entire time, that they just let a few things get off their way into why they lost too. But yeah, outside of the teams, I mean, you have Russell Westbrook, who's going to be playing amazing. Playoff P, Paul George, he's going to need to make a name for himself now, especially after the great season he's had. They threw his name in the MVP mix, threw his name in the Defensive Player of the Year mix, so he's up there. And he's going to have to take control now and show the league that he's trying to come up next.
And like you were saying, like these guys are getting into the 30s now, Westbrook and George. So like the excuses are up now. Not you're not too young anymore. Like
Yeah,
you
that
gotta
that
start showing. Yeah,
inexperienced thing is not can't be used anymore because they're coming now. So you have to show you got to start producing. But yeah, I feel the Thunder have the better overall roster, and they should take care of the series. I say 6, but I feel like it's a good 6 for Thunders where they're always in control.
now you make a good point. I think I'm gonna say 6 as well now because I feel like Portland. Yeah, Portland has like they just have some kryptonite with the first round. Like they're kind of like the Raptors of the West, but at least the Raptors could say we lost to LeBron. You guys, Portland always loses in the first round every year. Like no matter who they play, I feel like I don't even think I think the only one time they made it to the second round was like 2-3 years ago when like they played the Warriors and they just got smoked. So I don't think this is just not a team that's like playoff like adapted. And then the same thing with Damian Lillard is getting to that point as well, right? Like you're losing in the playoffs every year in the first round. Like there's a point where you gotta like show you're one of the best point guards in the league, right? And like take your team to the next round. Even like you can even still say that Portland has a team that's comparable to OKC even without Nurkic, but obviously we don't feel that way. But like Portland probably feels like they have a better team. Like they've been saying, like, oh, this year is going to be different the whole year. Like the Portland playoff curse is over, but I think it lives on.
Same.
Yeah, Portland is going to lose in the
Same.
first round again, and I feel so sorry for that franchise.
Yeah, I mean, because
Every
they
year.
play so well in the regular season, right? Like they show that they can win games, they can grind it out with the tough teams. They have Damian Lillard who can go insane from 3 and put up 40, 50 if he can, certain games. He can hit the game winner. He's Dame Dollar, his dollar, whatever this hits. It's Lillard time where he points to the watch. They have that on the
Yeah.
team, but it's just I don't know what it is. It just never translates well into the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's just like I don't know, man. I love the guy. I love watching him play. I feel like he's hella underrated, but I feel like just like when people say like, oh, he can't get out of the first round. I mean, they have a good point.
Yeah.
Like, you got to win the series if you're like considered in the top tier. Like all those guys have at least won a playoff series or been to like the West Finals or the Finals. So yeah, I think Thunder in 6, and you say Thunder in 6 as well.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So the last matchup of the playoffs, we'll go over the Rockets and the Jazz, a
Oh God.
rematch of last year's semifinals. So how do you see it playing out?
Okay, so I'm gonna sound a little crazy. I'm gonna sound a little
Oh,
crazy now.
don't do
Now,
it.
no. I have Houston winning.
Okay,
I have
you almost
Houston,
scared me for a second. I was like,
but I have them winning in 7 or 6.
7.
I
Wow,
ha-
that's
I want to say 6, but then I don't know what it is with Utah that intrigues me so much that I want to give them benefit down, take it to 7. Now, if it goes to 7, anything is possible when it's down to one game. But then when it comes down to one game, and I feel like James Harden will capitalize enough, Chris Paul, they'll know what to do. But reason why I say 7 is now just looking at the regular season matchups. No, obviously it's the regular season. People can say, or the players themselves can say, doesn't really mean much and translate much. But they did split, so they both went 2-2 against each other. And majority of the games they had one where obviously was it single-handedly they took over the game and won, and the other game it was a narrow victory. That goes for both. Houston had their blowout and their they had the blowout win and the narrow loss. Same with Utah and Houston. But when it comes down to them playing against each other, I just like what Utah has out there. They have guys that are willing to play the defense. They're willing to do all the dirty work. Ricky Rubio, he might not be the top tier guy everyone thought he would be when he came into the league, the next Steve Nash or whatnot. He can play. He can pass the ball well, and he can play defense really well. He'll be a little scrappy if he needs to. Donovan Mitchell, he'll play defense a bit. He'll do what he needs to do. He can go out there and score. He's the guy that they can go to. A lot of teams you see in the NBA, you can be like, yeah, they have a well team. They all play good defense, but do they have the guy that they can go to? Utah is the team that has the guy that they can go to, and they do everything else really well. Rudy Gobert, probably one of the best defensive players in the league. He might even win Defensive Player of the Year this year. It's just his imposing presence in the paint will be a big issue in the series. A big thing is they'll try to keep Harden away from the paint. Obviously, he can shoot from 3 crazy, but that could also be Houston's downfall as well if the threes aren't falling
as we
to
saw.
where
Yeah,
Utah can capitalize. Now Utah can hit the three as well. Joe Ingles is a very sly, crafty guy. Like he might not look like he can do much, but he can go out there and give you a quiet 15. Just out of nowhere, he'll get to the line. He can shoot the three ball. He plays defense. He's scrappy. But the big guy or the big X factor in this series, in my opinion, which will help Utah take it to 7 or 6 or however long they can prolong it, or dare I say even win, is Derek Favors. Reason why I say that is the matchup that Derek Favors is up against is the power forward on the Houston Rockets is, I believe, PJ Tucker. Now, PJ Tucker is a good defensive player. He can hit the three. But if Derek Favors can go down in the post to where he's demanding more than just a PJ Tucker to be on him, he'll be able to kick it out. Obviously, Clint Capella is a great defensive player, but he has to keep his eye on Gobert, even though Gobert isn't an offensive threat to where he can score. But he needs to put a body on Gobert because if he's not there, Gobert's so long and lanky and can get into position for an offensive rebound, which will hurt Houston. That's what I'm saying. Derek Favors is the guy that Utah. Obviously, Donovan Mitchell's the best player, but that X factor, if you will, in my opinion, will be Derek Favors. But now that's all if Houston doesn't just go insane from the 3-point line and just hit everything that they do.
Yeah.
Which they are capable of. I can see Houston winning this in 5 but with everything that I listed out, if Utah can just play that grit and grind, Donovan Mitchell can show progress and growth, I think they can take it to 7.
Okay, so you were saying all the point, like if Utah did that, okay, so will Utah do that? No, they won't. And so I'll tell you, I think that this series is actually, I think some people might like give Utah too much credit, I think Utah's a great defensive team. They've shown that.
I can see that.
But I think the series is going to be over in 5, or even I think this could be a sweep too, like surprising sweep, I think, because I feel like Houston is just so much better than Utah. Like, even last year in the playoffs, it was like 4-1 or 4-0, I think, when they played last year.
I think so.
It was a joke. Yeah, I feel like Houston's just way better. Chris Paul, James Harden, these guys, Clint Capella. And now you got other guys like Austin Rivers who can shoot the three. This team could just, to me, is the best three-point shooting team outside of Golden State. Or you can even say that they're the best three-point shooting team.
Yeah, if not on par, they could be better.
Yeah, and I feel like just the offensive weapons that they have and like the explosion, like Houston can just absolutely go for 50 and a quarter at any time, make 27, 33s in a game. And I feel like Utah's defense is good, which I get your point about that. But like I feel like Utah's offense is a no-show. Like I think Donovan Mitchell's a great player. He's going to score his buckets. But I feel like there's no help for him outside of like himself. Like Joe Ingles is not going to score probably more than like 12, 13 points. Rudy Gobert is no offensive threat. Like, I just think this series is such a mismatch, and I think it could be a 4-2, maybe, but definitely not 7. I think this series is a 4-1 for Houston, easily.
Yeah, I can see, like I said, where you're coming from. The reason why I'm saying this once again is the grit and grind that they can do. Now, the big thing with Utah is after Donovan Mitchell, when it comes to offensive production, there is a dip, and it's quite a bit of dip, to where that another guy who really can't create his own shot. The next guy that probably could create his own shot on that team is Joe Ingles, maybe, and that's not saying much outside of Donovan Mitchell. It's just that the team is deep. Gobert is there. I think Gobert can get his points. Obviously, most of it's putbacks and inside lobs, dunks. But if you can score, you can score. They did add Kyle Korver earlier on the season. He can shoot the 3 ball. We'll see what he does in the playoffs. But then it's most of the weight's going to be on Donovan Mitchell's shoulders for them to even take it to 6 or 5, if or just even win a game, obviously. But like I was saying, I think Derek Favors is the guy that, if he's playing well, which he can with the matchup that's there, could cause a lot of problems for Houston. But then again, it is Houston we're talking about. They have maybe the MVP on the team, and outside of Harden, they still have Chris Paul. So that's what they have going for them. And it's a good thing for Houston as well. Like we had over there on the east side with Boston having that rough matchup a little bit with Indiana. I think Houston's going to take a look with this Jazz series. If they pull through, they'll be obviously it's tough to prepare for the Warriors, but they'll be a little bit more in rhythm. They'll be better. They've already played a better team than the Warriors did in the first round. So it should help them going forward. It's just insane that we're going to get the Warriors and the Rockets in the second round.
Yeah, I was actually going to talk to you about that right now. So, like, do you think, like, there's this debate going on right now. Do you think it's better to get the Warriors earlier or later, like the Rockets case? Like, obviously, we know these are the 2 best teams in the West. Like, I don't care about the seeding, but I think it's Warriors and Rockets. Rockets are the only team that can challenge the Warriors, I think, in the West.
Yeah. Now, when you say if it's better to play earlier or later, I don't like saying things about injuries, but injuries do happen in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So I feel like you want to play them at your best strength. So the earlier you can get it out of the way, and you're not as tired as you would be as you would are later on in the Western Conference Finals after logging so many games through. So it might, and if you do take them out earlier, then who else is there to stop you other than the team in the East,
Yeah.
right? So if you somehow slay the beast, then it should just be somewhat smooth sailing to that championship ring.
Yeah, and since we like both have them coming out like of the series, then they're both gonna get out of the series. But like, I feel like you want to play the Warriors earlier because I feel like with Houston, as we've seen this before, James Harden sort of runs out of gas like in the later
Yeah,
rounds.
the
Like,
fatigue kicks in for sure.
and especially how much he's being used this year. It's probably the highest usage rate that any player has ever had, like in NBA history. So I feel like he's gonna get way because he's gonna have to play 40 minutes in the playoffs again. Every game he's gonna play 40 plus.
And they'll be grueling because of the physicality, especially against a Utah Jazz team, to where he'll get in the paint and he might get a few bumps from Gobert, a few bumps from Favors, so it'll obviously add on to the minutes he's already playing. So yeah, no, but yeah, I feel like Houston should be. I mean, obviously it's like dang, you got the Warriors in the second round, but then you should look forward to as sooner than later you're going to play them anyways, right? So you might as well play them with less minutes you have to log.
And Curry was injured, I think. Like in the last game, he got a little bit nicked. And Curry has had ankle problems before. And I feel like Warriors haven't played anybody in the first two rounds like in the past that can capitalize. But I feel like Houston is a very dangerous matchup for them just because like if Curry's hurt, I feel like if Curry's like say obviously we don't wish he's out for the series, but like, say he's like out for the series, right, against the Rockets.
Hey,
I
you
think the
never
Rockets
know.
could take that series, dude.
Because I mean, the Warriors are playing the Clippers, and the Clippers do have a certain guy by the name of Patrick Beverly,
Oh,
who's notoriously known
like we were
for
talking about, yeah.
doing little dirty things. No, but yeah, if the Warriors, we don't like to wish injuries on anybody, do come into the series without Curry, if Curry's not there, I can see the Rockets actually. I mean, I don't want to say they'll pull an upset, but I mean,
I think they will. I
it
think
could
they
be
will.
very viable. I mean, it could happen without if Curry's not there, because Curry, in my opinion, is the like they say Durant's the best player on the team, whatnot, whatever. Curry's the heart and soul of that Warriors team, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's like the most important piece.
He's their
Like
engine,
it's
basically.
yeah, he makes the engine run and go. He's the catalyst for the team. Yeah. So yeah, we both have Rockets winning. You have somehow seven. I got five. All right, and so it won't be a high post podcast episode, guys, if we don't talk about the Lakers.
Oh man.
These guys just find a way to be in the news every day, whether it be Magic just retired or today. I mean, today's news was kind of expected. Like I've been saying this since November. Luke Walton should go, and I finally am so happy that he's gone. He's finally gone.
It's time to pop the champagne. Luke Walton is gone, right? But
Yeah.
going back to what you're saying, always finding the name in the news. Yeah, Dwayne Wade and Dirk Nowitzki just retired, and they were obviously a story. But I felt like Magic Johnson stepping down was a bigger story than those two guys, who have been
Yeah.
playing their entire careers. They gave everything to the game. They actually went out on a high note. They both had like 30 points when they left on their last game. And so instead of giving them the full respect, you got to give, oh, Magic Johnson stepped down, and with that, oh, did LeBron force it? So it's a mess, but I think what they're doing now is the spring cleaning, and it was much needed. Magic stepping down. I mean, he didn't give the full indication to why. He obviously said that he didn't feel like Magic being at that position. Now he's more comfortable being himself. The whole tampering stuff. He couldn't talk to certain players. I remember he got in trouble for, I think, talking to Ben Simmons, and they
Yeah,
pinned it
that's
on Magic when it was
ridiculous.
actually Simmons or someone from Simmons's camp who reached
Yeah.
out to Magic. So, I mean, maybe it's for the better for everybody, but the most necessary move of Luke Walton being let go, in my opinion, was the big thing, and that happened. So, I mean, let's see who they get as head coach. I think Tyronn Lue's a front runner. They say, I think Monty Williams' name popped up, but as long as it's not Jason Kidd,
Oh
I'd be
God, no.
happy.
God no. I don't want Jason Kidd. But I feel like going back to that Magic point, like that was so shocking, dude. Like on that day, like we're just like everybody was just remembering like Dirk Nowitzki and Dwayne Wade's Hall of Fame careers, and all of a sudden Magic says, "Oh, I'm leaving." And obviously, there's been a whole bunch of conspiracy theories as to what like has transpired. Like, why did Magic just leave? But this remembers. I remember what he said a couple years ago. I'm sure you remember. Like he said, if I don't bring two free agents to max free agents to the Lakers, I will step down. And he said that, and I was like, okay, he got LeBron, right? Does that mean he's just like not confident that he can land a second guy, or he does just want to tarnish his name a little bit longer because he's Magic Johnson at the end of the day? But I feel like what he'll be remembered for now, in terms of like even the newer Laker fans and stuff like that, will be like, oh, he's a bad president. Like he hasn't been doing a good job building his team, so that could be like a reason, right? Like to
Yeah,
retire.
that's the problem with this. It will at least the world now. It's what have you done for me lately, right?
Yeah.
So they don't care about the championships he's won for the Lakers as much as they do as what he's done in the recent memory. Obviously, he brought in LeBron, but then the team success didn't show. Obviously, their injuries, we can say this and that, but at the end of the day, the production wasn't there. The team didn't gel, whatnot, whatever it was, and so they're gonna pin that on him. And so, I mean, we obviously don't know the main reason why he stepped down. But all we know is he did step down, and now it's time for the Lakers to. You got to move on. You can't look in the past. So what I think the Lakers should do is obviously they fired Luke already, so get a head coach.
That's
Tyronn Lue's fine. I would take him. I
mhm.
don't think there's any other options out there that are even better. So you go with the best available. And then as far as Magic's position, you look for other people out there. Because I think as Rob Pelinka, I don't know if you want to give him the keys to everything.
No
I feel
way.
like
No
what they
way.
should do is get a guy by the name of Jerry West because I know he's working with the Clippers, but he's not an official job title with them.
Just a
It's not a full
consultant. Yeah.
position. Yeah, it's just a consultant. If you can get Jerry West, give him the president of basketball operations title, hell, just give him whatever Palinka's doing to West and just say Palinka's doing it. Whatever you got to do, you just get Jerry West. Get something because I just don't think that the Lakers will be in a better position going forward if Palinka's gotten all the keys to do whatever he wants.
Yeah, and I've always said this like about Plinka, right? Like I feel like he's only getting hired just because he's Kobe Bryant's agent. That's the only reason why that this dude has a job. I feel like in the front office in the NBA. I feel like he's a great agent. He's been agent for like Harden and all these other guys, right? But like in terms of GM, like I think that Jeannie Buss needs to let this guy go, and I'm surprised he wasn't the first one let go because I think that
No, that's true.
I don't want Rob Pelinka controlling everything. Like this guy said, Contavious Caldwell Pope is going to be our savior. Like that scares me. What he's going to do for the Lakers if he thinks that guy is going to contribute that well.
And another thing, being an agent is a good agent means that you obviously do what's best for the player at the time, which might not be what's best for the other teams, and the other GMs will be upset. So who knows? He might have a bad like other GMs might have like a bad taste in their mouth just saying his name because of what he might have done in the past against them with the players. Like I think there was a recent report where he was promising to bring in Carlos Boozer to the Cavaliers on a discounted role,
Yeah,
or he wanted to re-sign with the Cavs, but then he took less money and went to Utah. And I'm pretty sure there was a bunch of other things with other players that he must have done. So being a good agent doesn't always translate to being a great GM. Not only for the reason that it's not the same, but it's also because of the lasting impression you might have had as being a GM, as being an agent. You might not have all the good connections because the GMs might be like, this dang Rob Pelinka guy is out here to messing up our whole plans when he was an agent back then. But yeah, I think the Lakers should they have the opportunity to right their wrongs by getting Jerry West.
and so far, like everything in the Lakers offseason has been good. Magic Johnson stepped down for the better. Like I think he wasn't doing a good job as a president. We know that, and I feel like Luke Wong getting fired was long overdue. I feel like Pelinka, like you said, a lot of teams, a lot of guys despise this guy around the league, like just because of his agent, like how you try to finesse teams. You say one thing with Boozer, that was a big
Yeah,
situation, and like you say one thing, like okay, we're gonna do this, and you just dupe them and be like, nope, we're not doing this,
and obviously
and
those
like
things stay in the league, right? So people can be like, "Oh, he did that back in the day," so
yeah, it's a
who's to
petty
say he's not
league.
trying something
It's a
again, right?
petty
Yeah.
league. Yeah, people hold grudges against you for like this thing. That's like everything. That's like life. People hold grudges for you like when you do this. Like we finesse a team with somebody like that. And I feel like yeah, like Rob Pelinka to me is not a good executive at all. I think that he should have been like him and Luke should have been the ones to go. Magic, okay, like he could stay because he's Magic Johnson, but like Magic stepping down, I think Lakers just overall need a whole haul, like everything, like spring cleaning, like you say. Like get first thing I say you need is a president of basketball operations because like you need to reach out to a Jerry West, you need to reach out to a Bob Myers, you need to go and see. Obviously, David Griffin's off the board. I think he went to the Pelicans, right?
Yeah, he just recently just signed with them.
Yeah, I think Lakers should have at least inquired to ask him like, "Are you interested in this position?" Because I feel like he would have taken the Lakers job if it was offered to him.
Yeah, I
And
think
like,
he himself said that there were a lot of GMs just waiting for the call for the Lakers to take the job. So I don't know if that was him saying that he would like a call too, or if he was just letting the Lakers know that there's a field of players or of guys out there ready for the job.
yeah, I know what he's doing though. He's gonna give us AD, bro. It's like the grand plan. Like he went to the Pelicans just so that he can go give Anthony Davis to the Lakers to help LeBron, his boy, out. And I feel like he's gonna like just resign like magic right after that. And he's gonna be like, "I'm not gonna be here." He's gonna say that at the press conference, doing everything. It's just gonna be like that. Nah, but like I think yeah, the Lakers at least by the middle of May they need to know their plans. Like they need a president of basketball operations, and you need a coach after that. If you get those two and fire Rob Pelinka, please. And because I feel like the guy who has president of basketball operations, that's basically the same thing as a GM. Like he can just take over the whole power structure
I
and
believe
not
so. I
need a
believe they
GM.
work hand in hand. But if you get a guy like Jerry West, you shouldn't split any of the power.
No,
You should just it should be 100% to West. And then if Palinka just wants to be there because he wants to be there, then so be it. Whatever Genie needs to do. But get Jerry West, like we're both saying, please, for all Laker fans out there, make
yeah,
something
like
happen.
did you hear like how like when they were doing exit interviews and stuff like that, how like Luke Walton wasn't in the exit interviews? Like it was just like all like obvious that he's not gonna be there. Like when LeBron met with him, he met with like Magic and Rob, not with Luke. Like it's kind of like oh, like I think Luke is gone, and we kind of expected this the whole year. So you're saying like for coach, they should. I think Tyronn Lue. Like you think, yeah, he's the best available out there. Would you say? Would you say Tyronn Lue is like the best available? Who would you like go for?
Uh,
That's sense.
as from the field that we know, I would say Tyronn Lue because I think other names linked is like Monty Williams and Dave Yeager just got cut by the Kings, so I mean he might be in the field. But I feel
King
like just
Slinger
because
King.
you already have a guy that knows LeBron has a ring, I mean you can't deny that Tyronn Lue has a ring
Yeah.
as a coach. So I feel like he would just be the best coach available. Now, like we were talking before, if other things happen, like if Dallas for some reason lets go of Rick Carlisle, I think he should jump to the top of the list. But I don't think that's going to happen because I feel like they were in a plan or they had a plan going. Next year is their big year with Porzingis in there now, and they have money for a free agent, so they'll try to keep Rick Carlisle for at least next year and see where that goes. So as far as from the field that's available, uh, there is a name in Mark Jackson. I think they should inquire
Mm,
at least. If
yeah.
they can get Mark Jackson, I feel like he would, in my opinion, be better than Tyronn Lue. But if we can't get Jackson for whatever reason, or if we do just settle for Lue, I'll be fine with that.
Yeah, those guys are miles above Luke Walton. We can agree on that. It's gonna be an upgrade unless they hire Jason Kidd. I think, like to the Lakers coaching, they can't do this wrong. Like Lakers don't screw this up. But yeah, Tyronn Lue, I feel like to me is the best choice. Like you need a guy that can challenge LeBron, get in his face, and Tyronn Lue is that guy. He's gonna challenge it, and you have a chance to get Kyrie in the summer, maybe. You know, like get a little reunion, whole 2016 Cavs band back together, the good ones, anyways, not like the backup singers and stuff like that. But like the main part of the band, those three guys could be act together. So yeah, that is gonna do it, guys, for episode 7. And it was a little lengthy one for you guys because we know we've been missing a lot of episodes before the last one. So we gave you guys the full first round playoff preview, and obviously added this little sprinkle with the little Lakers in there. And so be on the lookout for more episodes, and we will be doing a Q&A in like the next couple of episodes in the off season. We will be asking you guys for your questions, your feedback on the podcast, and all this thing. So be sure anytime to DM us on Instagram, Twitter at the High Post Pod, both platforms, and just let us know what you're thinking. And so that is going to do it for episode 7. We will see you guys in the next episode.